The economy. It's this huge word we hear all the time, right? On the news, in politics, everywhere. And honestly, it can sound super complicated, maybe even a little intimidating. But what if it's not? Let's break it down and see if we can figure this thing out in the next 5 minutes.
So let's just start right there. What actually is the economy? When people say it's up or down, what are they even talking about? Is it the stock market? Is it jobs? What is this giant, invisible thing that seems to rule our lives?
Well, here's the simplest way to think about it. Before we get into any of the jargon, just remember this. The economy is really just the story of us. It's the story of how we work, what we make, how we buy and sell things. It's pretty much the operating system for our daily lives.
Okay, now for the slightly more official definition. An economy is the whole organized system that a society uses to manage all its resources. And by resources, I mean everything, from the oil in the ground to the skills in our heads. It's the framework for how your phone was built and how your coffee got to your cup this morning.
So if an economy is like an operating system for society, it makes total sense that there isn't just one version, right? Different societies have come up with different blueprints for how to run things. Let's take a quick look at the 4 main types. On one end of the spectrum, you've got the market economy. This is all about supply and demand. You know, what we want to buy and what companies decide to sell. It's built on private ownership and competition. Then, on the complete opposite side, you have the command economy. Here, the government is the one calling all the shots, controlling production, setting prices, and owning pretty much everything.
But here's the thing. In the real world, most countries aren't living in those extremes. Instead, almost everyone has what's called a mixed economy. It's a blend, a hybrid. It takes the freedom of the market, but adds in some government involvement for things like public schools, healthcare, and making sure big companies play fair.
And we can't forget the oldest blueprint of them all, the traditional economy. This system is ancient, and it's built on customs, beliefs, and often just bartering, trading goods directly without any money changing hands. It's pretty rare today, but it's still the foundation for some rural communities around the world.
All right, so we've got the blueprints, but what about the engine itself? What are the actual parts that make this whole thing run, no matter which system you're using? What are the basic building blocks?
Just think of it like a recipe. You need 4 essential ingredients to make anything. First, you need land, which is just a catch-all for all natural resources. Then you need labor. That's us, the human effort. You also need capital, which means all the tools, machines, and factories. And finally, you need entrepreneurship. That's the spark, the innovation and risk-taking that puts it all together.
And those ingredients get used across different areas of the economy, which we call sectors. The primary sector is all about getting raw materials out of the ground. The secondary sector is where we make stuff, manufacturing. The tertiary sector is about providing services, which for most modern countries is the biggest piece of the pie. And then there's the quaternary sector, which is all about knowledge. Think IT and research.
So, all these sectors, all these ingredients, this isn't just stuff for a textbook. This system has a real, direct impact on every single one of us, every single day.
So why should you care? Well, because a healthy economy is what creates jobs. It's what affects our standard of living. It funds our schools, our hospitals. It's the engine for new inventions that make our lives better. And when it's managed well, it is the most powerful tool we have to lift people out of poverty.
That all sounds pretty important. So how do we actually check on it? How do we know if the engine is running smoothly or if it's about to break down?
The big one you always hear about is GDP, Gross Domestic Product. All that is really is the total value of everything a country makes and sells over a certain period. When you hear the economy is growing, they're usually just talking about the GDP going up. It's like the main number on the economy's report card.
Next up, inflation. You've definitely felt this one. It's simply the measure of how fast prices are going up for everyday stuff. When inflation is high, your money just doesn't buy as much as it used to, and that hits your wallet directly.
And of course, there's the unemployment rate. This one's pretty simple. It's the percentage of people who want a job, are actively looking for one, but just can't find one. It's a huge sign of whether the economy is creating enough opportunities for its people. But let's be real. No economy is perfect. They all face challenges. Besides the big 3 we just talked about, countries are always dealing with things like recessions, which is when the economy actually shrinks, plus income inequality, and figuring out how to manage the national debt.
Okay, so given all these moving parts and all these challenges, what does the future look like? Where are we all headed? Let's wrap up by looking at the big forces shaping the economy of tomorrow.
Obviously, technology is a massive one, but it's kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, automation and AI could make us incredibly productive, but on the other hand, they could get rid of a lot of traditional jobs. E-commerce connects the whole world, but it can also make the gap between the rich and poor even wider.
And finally, there is a huge, powerful shift happening right now towards building a sustainable economy. This is all based on the idea that you can't have endless growth on a planet with limited resources. It's about finding a balance, focusing on renewable energy, growing green industries, and just generally being smarter about how we grow.
So as you can see, the story of the economy is still being written. It's always changing. And that leaves us with probably the biggest challenge of our time. How do we build an economy that not only creates wealth, but one that works for everybody and for the planet we all have to share?